Is Fort Acre Taylor. Right before the Civil War broke out, a man named Captain James Brannan was stationed at the Peary Court end of the island, ordered to move his troop of soldiers across Key West to seize that fort. He had one problem. He commanded a Union troop, and this was a Confederate island. He thought it would probably be a bad idea to go marching down Front Street, so he built the road we're on right now, originally called Rocky Road. It's now known as Truman Avenue, in honor of Harry. These are shotgun-style cottages. They're called shotguns because the front and back doors are in alignment with each other. In theory, you could shoot off a gun through the building and not hit anything. In practice, it was to promote airflow. With the doors open, a draft was created that pulled hot air from adjacent rooms and right out the doors. They're also known as cigar makers' cottages, and they were built by the cigar industry for the workforce. They did tend to cluster them together, just as those are. Now we're crossing Duval Street. This end of town has got some really nice gallows down towards the right. We have a lot of artists who make their homes here, drawn by the quality of the light. Now, as you can imagine, life on the island has not always been a Margaritaville experience. We've had a lot of problems with disease. Yellow fever was common. Nobody had the slightest idea what was causing it. Most of the victims did die. We had a doctor, though, Dr. Joseph Yates Porter, who believed there was a relationship between diseases like yellow fever and sanitation. He was always encouraging people to clean up areas of standing water. And what he did was inadvertently remove the breeding ground of the tiger mosquito. Now, years later in Cuba, they discovered it was the bite of the tiger mosquito causing yellow fever. Dr. Porter was way ahead of his time on that one. Now, many of the victims of yellow fever were nursed up ahead of us on the grounds of the convent of Mary Immaculate. One of the sisters here, Sister Louis Gabriel, was in service to the community for many, many years, went through 3 bad hurricanes, and decided to build a grotto to St. Mary and pray once the grotto stood would be spared from hurricane damage. Well, the grotto does still stand. It's up ahead of us here on the right, and there you can see it through the second opening here in the wall, down around along the church, and you'll see that grotto. There's a sign nearby that says, "Our Lady of Lourdes, pray for us." Now there are candles burning there right now. When we were threatened with all of the hurricanes in the summer of 2005, it looked like a bonfire. We had to go there, light a candle, and scorch your eyebrows right off. And these houses up and down the street, some of these larger ones are bed and breakfasts, others are private residence. But there is a building over here on the right that used to make me laugh every time I looked at it, the Margaret Truman Laundrette. Well, Margaret Truman was the name of President Harry S. Truman's daughter, and I always thought it was pretty funny that somebody would name a laundromat after the daughter of the President of the United States. So, of course, every single chance that I had, I'm pointing that laundromat out at somebody. And one day, I'm just going on and on about the laundromat, and somebody heard me. And you know that tone of voice that your real good friends use when they're about ready to jump all over you about something? My good friend said to me, "What are you talking about now?" And I said, "Well, you know, the Margaret Truman Laundrette, the one they named after the President's daughter." And he said, "Sheila, that laundromat's on the corner of Truman Avenue and Margaret Street." And I said, "You are kidding me." Actually, that's not quite what I said, but it's close. I have no idea where I got that notion in my head in the first place. My friends are still hassling me, though. Now, for the last hour, y'all have been listening to stories aboard the world-famous Conch tour train. And these were started all the way back in 1958 by Bill and Olive Kroll, managers of our aquarium. Got so many requests for people wanting to go for a ride, built Engine 97, still in service today. Here in our left is our cemetery, the original cemetery on our island down by the southernmost point. That one washed away in a hurricane in 1846. Bodies all over the place. Not exactly a Chamber of Commerce kind of moment. They rebuilt here. The crypts are above ground like New Orleans. New Orleans got a problem with water, and what we have here is a coral rock island. Too hard to be digging holes in. In the middle of the cemetery, you'll see flags flying. There's a real nice monument over there that honors the memory of sailors who lost their lives in the explosion and sinking of the USS Maine in Havana's harbor. 26 of the Maine sailors are buried there. The remainder in Arlington National Cemetery. Key West was the Maine's last port of call. Now, in that cemetery, there are some pretty funny tombstones. There's a lady buried there who apparently was the island's biggest hypochondriac. She spent a lot of time grumbling and complaining about her health to anybody who would listen to her, and when she passed away, she told her family exactly what she wanted on her tombstone. And they honored her last request. So her tombstone says, "I told you I was sick." And there's a guy buried there, and I'm just guessing that he might have been less than faithful, because his wife put on his tombstone, "At least I know where he's sleeping tonight." Now, people kept stealing that tombstone. Can you imagine? I think that's bad karma. That's not positive. I think it's bad karma. We have lots of decorative woodwork around the island. The stuff that's called gingerbread. Up ahead of us and on the left, the second house, one of my favorite patterns. This is called gingerbread. Gingerbread. Now, another thing that we've got a lot of on an island that's only 1.5 miles by 4 miles, we have 440 named roads, streets, avenues, and boulevards. The smallest are tiny lanes that lead back to the center of blocks where additional houses were constructed. And a lot of these houses, or these lanes, are dead-ended. And many of them have more than one name, which makes locating anything just a pain in the neck. Now, over here on our right, we have Lowe's Lane, and that little red flower there is called Firecracker. There's Cornish Lane and Hibiscus Lane here on our left. And these lanes accessed areas that became available after they tore down barns and stables and kitchens, which were frequently built as a separate structure away from the main part of the house to reduce the incidence of fire and also to keep cooking odors and heat away from the building. Over here on our left, we have a hole in the roof. That is a skylight now, but it was originally just a box-like structure up on top of that roof. It was designed to allow hot air to rise from the building, kind of cool things off a little bit. It's an idea borrowed from sailing ships. And on our right, we have some really pretty gingerbread around the top of this house here. This is a pattern called ship's wheel or compass gingerbread. And that house was built by a man named Antonio Diaz de Canasco, the very first Cuban diplomat to the United States. He opened his offices in the building there, a source of great pride. City Electric on our right supplied our electrical needs for about 100 years. We now have a tie line that connects us with the electrical grid on the main line. Boy, I hear those planes practicing around here. I don't see them though. Every time I look, I'm thinking, you can sure hear them all. Dialing down the road to the right is where the railroad was back in 1912. That's now our Coast Guard station over there.